On Monday night, President Cyril Ramaphosa reshuffled his cabinet. There's been mixed reaction to the movement, but sport, arts and culture will have new energy behind it after Zizi Kodwa was announced to take over from Nathi Mthethwa. Kodwa served as the ANC's spokesperson from 2014 to 2017 and in 2019 was appointed Deputy Minister of State Security. The new minister joins us now. Very good evening and welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Good evening. Thanks very much for the opportunity.
It's quite a big jump, state security to sports.
Well, I think all what it needs is passion, whether it's state security, whether it's home affairs, but particularly sports. You need somebody with a passion. Arts and culture needs somebody with a passion because it's a heartbeat of the nation. It plays an important part in the special moments of the nation. If you're talking about heritage, for example, if you talk about arts and culture, it has got a particular role to play. And I'm not talking about just about issues of heritage and national symbols, which is about politics of sport, but the economy of sport as well, which I think we have not exploited that part for the longest time. And I think it's important to look at it as an economic driver, as an enabler for job creation and opportunities. And I think I come to a space where there's a lot of misreaction about what has happened in the past. I think my interest is not so much to interpret what happened in the past, is to look forward what we need to do immediately. We need to hit the ground running like the speed of a cheetah and a leopard. We don't have time to interpret events. The country mood at the moment needs sport to lift up the mood of the country. We're quite depressed people at the moment with a number of challenges around us. And I think we need energy at the moment, less of high heels, but more flat shoes on the ground to make sure that we lift up the spirit of the nation.
Would you say it's a demotion for you in your career from state security to sports, arts and culture?
Well, whether it's a demotion is an interpretation. I'm the Minister of Sport. I was the Deputy Minister of State Security. The roles are quite different, but both roles require somebody with a passion. Yeah. And in this regard, I've been very passionate. I'm a sport fanatic.
You are? Who's your favorite team?
I'm an enthusiast. I was an athlete since my young age. I always supported big clubs. I've always went to the big derby in the past. As you know now, I support any sport, and I must make sure that I develop all sporting codes. People who know me about a certain club that I used to support, but I will keep that between myself and my family at the moment, because I must make sure that the sport is also developed in the hinterland of our country, where we have a raw talent in the far-flung areas of our country. We need to support rural development infrastructure, where we have seen some of the best talent that represented us in the international stage, such as Mampipis, such as and many others who come from rural areas with no development. And the issues about rural sport development and infrastructure is quite close to my heart. The issues about school sport is quite very close to my heart as part of developing talent in South Africa. But not only that, how do we use sport to deal with some of the maladies in society, the issues about gender, GBV, the issues about substance abuse, the issues about drugs. How do we use sport to build and make sure that we deal with those issues? And therefore the issues around school sport will go a long way to deal with these maladies.
The general elections are coming up in May, so it doesn't give you too much time in the portfolio. What is the vision to do? Because what you have a vision for and what you're speaking about, that's a long process. How are you going to best use this time to be able to do just that? Well,
I will not do my work because there are elections coming. That's why I said we already hit the ground like a speed of a cheetah and a leopard. And one of the things that will not be negotiable for the next, as you say, for the next 12 months, we're not going to negotiate transformation, for an example. Okay. It's going to be a non-negotiable. It must be done. The issues around school sport, we've got to move with speed. The issues around the recreational facilities, for an example, in the townships, in villages, we've got to make sure that we put a lot of effort to develop sport rural areas, infrastructure in those areas. And I think what is important in South Africa at the moment, we must do everything we can to give hope. The nation is quite depressed at the moment for many other things around us, whether it's load shedding and so on. Yeah. But those are politics which have nothing to do with sport. But it's important that we must give hope with sport. Within the industry itself, sports, arts and culture, the number of challenges. We've got to deal decisively with those challenges and give hope that whatever would have happened in the past, and I think I bring that passion, working together with all stakeholders, In the next few days, I'll be meeting with the Big Five. I'll be meeting with SASCOC. I'll be meeting with people in the arts and culture to make sure that not to ask what they want, because I think we know what they want. We know what has gone wrong. We must fix what has gone wrong and make sure that we forge ahead, working with them together.
Sport used to be its own department, and then it was combined with arts and culture. And since that move, there's a perception that sport has played second fiddle to arts and culture. Would you agree with that?
No, I won't. I think there's a lot that we've done as a country. There were special moments that as a country we can be proud about. In 1995, the 2010, we built some of the state-of-the-art stadiums, the Blue Bulls match at Olango Stadium. It was one of the moments. There are many other moments. If you acknowledge some of the people from arts and culture, the role they played internationally, they winning Grammy Awards, they carry and fly South African flag. There are moments that we must celebrate in South Africa, but at the moment, of course, there are many other issues around us that makes us as a country not even to appreciate. I mean, this weekend, the number of sporting events that are coming, you're talking about Lions and Stormers, you're talking about EP, as well as Border Bulldogs. You have the Sundowns and Al-Ahly game. But the big sporting events which define who we are as a nation. But like I say, there are many other things which makes us the mood of the country. It needs some special moments to be lifted up. And I think it is a passion that we must do, making sure that the stakeholders within the industry themselves, they feel that they are part of the movement going forward. I get a sense that there's almost a dispassionate participation of the stakeholders for whatever happened in the past. We won't dwell much about it, but we commit to work together to make sure that we build this industry together, whether it's in sport, whether it's in arts, whether in culture, as well as in heritage.
So it's fair to say that there is an acceptance that sport is a great vehicle to share how South Africa can be excellent. It brings hope to the country, and our sports people become ambassadors for the country. It's
proven beyond reason about. I mean, if you look at some of the events in history I made mention, whether it's Matiba walking in Ellis Park in 1995, whether it's him again walking in 2010, whether it's Bull Blues, and many other things. And I think we have not acknowledged and lifted up sport as not just as a nation builder, but also the economy of sport. It's important that we acknowledge there are certain things that we must intolerate when it comes to sport, because they undermine some of the what defines us as a nation, as a people. Things such as racism in sport, for an example. We must poo-poo racism. Whenever it's racist, it's ugly, it must be poo-pooed, it must be dismissed, it must be rejected. That's why, from my point of view, we shouldn't be, for example, in 2023, talking about equal work, equal pay in relation to women, and whether it's in netball, whether it's in cricket, T20, and vis-a-vis men's football. We shouldn't be talking about that in 2023. We shouldn't be talking about the advocate in Sebeza inquiry, what came out about some of the ill-treatment of black players within cricket. We shouldn't be talking about that. The way we must deal with it is that whenever racism raises its ugly head, we must hit one to teach others. Because we've come a long way as a country, divided on the basis of race and class, and therefore we must not tolerate any form of racism. And we can use sport, and sport has done so before. It's only sport that we have brought South Africa into the international or global village in 2010. Many people who have never been to the African continent, who have never been to South Africa, for the first time they know what South Africa looks like. We brought, through sport, billions of rands to South Africa. And it's only sport that can continue to play that role.
So we accept without reasonable doubt that our sports people, and when they achieve on the global stage, they're great ambassadors for South Africa. Would it be something that your department would venture into, to speak to the Department of Tourism, perhaps, to use some of their budget to support the athletes? Because one of the biggest challenges, without a doubt, is funding. Funding for smaller sporting codes that maybe don't have a lot of money but still go on to the global stage to represent the country. I had a young Olympic swimmer, Clayton Jimmy, who needed to go and knock on doors, an Olympic swimmer, to ask for money to go to the World Championships. We had our national men's hockey team that were pulled from a prestigious global competition because the federation had said, unfortunately, we just don't have the money. There's money in other departments. Should we not be putting those behind our South African sports ambassadors?
We should. I agree with you, Valen. That is the economy of sport. We should be working, because sport does not only talk about issues of nation building. The economy of sport talks about some of the best sporting nations have got tourism as the biggest contributor to their GDP, it's because many people throughout the world, they want to come some of the best sporting personalities in those countries, because those countries have performed. That's why in 2010, we have not even celebrated what Simphiwe Tshabalala has done for South Africa. That first goal of the match. It has brought South Africa into the global stage in terms of football. There are moments that I think we're not celebrating in the country. And I think when we talk about economy of sport, we've got to see this collaboration, not only sport working in silos from different other departments, the number of economic departments that must help to work together, including private-public partnership around issues of tourism. We shouldn't have a player who carries South African flag, who can go to Olympics, for example, who can go to Paralympics, who can go and represent South Africa in the international stage. Whether they're talking about the Grammys, whether they're talking about other whether they're talking about other platforms internationally, we should make sure that we give support to an individual, to an association, to any person who wants to go and represent and fly South African flag internationally, because that is tourism.
It certainly is. So there certainly will be that collaboration. That's what I'm hearing, that there's going to be an effort to sustain and make those pathways available to collaborate more in order to uplift South African sport, and through collaborations with perhaps, say, tourism and with the tourism department.
Absolutely. The time where people who work in silos is gone. We must make sure that we work together, including making sure that all stakeholders within the industry, all sectors within sports, arts and culture, we work with them together. Because we work with them, because if we leave anybody behind, that is why we have all these misreactions about my appointment, about what has happened in the past, which I hear a lot. But I think it's important that we bring everybody together. That's why in the next few days, I've already made calls to a number of affiliations and associations, whether SASCOC, whether it's Big Five, whether people in the arts and culture, to say, we'll be meeting with you soon. Because it's important that for us to succeed, we must carry everybody together.
Do you believe you're well equipped to run this department?
I won't run a department alone. It's not only government through a minister that can succeed. We need everybody. Nobody must be left behind, including those in the industry. We must carry them together and make sure that for us to succeed, it's only when we work together.
We have got our Springboks taking part in the World Cup. They're going to be defending their title. We've also got a Netball World Cup that we'll be hosting in South Africa. What government support will be given to those teams? We've spoken about how these sports people are ambassadors for the country. Once more,
I mean, those are special moments for the country. We must be proud about. Not only what happened in 2019, and I have full confidence that the Springbok will bring back the cup again to South Africa. We'll be joining them when we go to France to make sure that we give all the support in the World Cup, as well as the Olympic and Paralympics in 2024. We went to the finals of the women's T20 in Cape Town. The point is that, I mean, when they played here, the point is that we lost to Australia, not because we do not have some of the best deliveries and batters, but because we do not have. Australia has got the professional league for women cricket. We don't have. These are the things that we can't negotiate about. We've got to do them, because in 2023, we shouldn't be talking about those things. We shouldn't be talking about equal pay, equal work in 2023. These are the issues that are in the policy of government. They must be implemented, not negotiated.
Do you not think all of these issues that are currently, that you're speaking about in sport, transformation, racism, equality, gender parity, these things have long been spoken about? There's lots of policies. Do you not feel that your position now is one of actually policemen, going back and actually saying, well, these things haven't been done, let's actually take action?
These are non-negotiables. These are cardinal pillars. All what we need to must implement them. If there's anybody, I mean, in the context of a constitutional democracy, if there's anybody who don't agree, we can carry on. We'll meet somewhere and explain the policy. But we must implement the policies of government. The issues we're talking about, like I said earlier, we shouldn't be talking about, earlier in the years when I was still young, we spoke about issues of quotas in rugby. They did it, but we realized that they were being abused, because they were being abused to the minimum. We withdrew them, but they played their part to bring transformation in rugby. And so far, we've seen what transformation it has done, for example, in rugby. May not be the best examples, but there's a long way to go. There's a long road that we have traversed to be where we are. We shouldn't be negotiating about rugby. This is the point I'm making, that there are certain things that must be cardinal pillars, non-negotiables. Transformation, equal work, equal pay, issues of gender parity, there should be no negotiable about them. The fact that we have wasted a lot of time negotiating about transformation in this country in sport. All people must be given an opportunity, including building sport, rural development in terms of infrastructure, making sure that we build recreational facilities in underdeveloped areas. Those issues must be non-negotiables. We must just implement them.
What will be the recourse if you find a federation, if you find a sporting body that doesn't implement something, as you say, that's non-negotiable?
There are recourse in this country. I mean, one of the biggest federation, if you remember, SARU president at the time, Louis Leite, took the former president Mandela to court. And former president went to court to defend the bodies of transformation in this country. If it needs be, where we must go to any platform to defend the decisions of transformation, we will go and do so. If anybody feels undermined, what we need to do is to make sure that as we build social cohesion, we carry everybody along. Nobody or a national group must feel excluded on the basis of transformation. Hence, it is important that we must meet all stakeholders so that they realize the need, that we need each other to coexist as South African nation that we seek to build.
Starting out on a journey, it's always good to start with the end goal in mind. In your mind, as the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, what is that goal at the end that once you reach it, you'll say, I've actually done a good job, this is what I wanted to achieve, and this is what I have achieved?
When truly we have achieved the aspirations of a truly non-racial, democratic, non-sexist, and a prosperous South Africa, where everybody believes and all his or her desires and aspirations can only be achieved in a South African context. When South Africa is also in the international and global village, has become a country that is well known, the Mandela nation. If we can bring back all those values of Ubuntu to our nation, make sure that we achieve prosperity, equal development, we bring school sport, we make sure that sport development and infrastructure in rural areas, we would have gone a long way. We've got a short period now of about 12 to 13 months. There's a lot we can do. Each day is important. We can't allow each day to pass. That's why we don't have time to negotiate some of these things. We have time to implement. That's why, like I said in my introduction, we are hitting the ground running like the speed of a cheetah and a leopard.
Like the speed of a cheetah or a leopard, Tebekile. That's how they are hitting the ground with their brand new Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Zizi Kodwa. Thank you so much for your time here on Newzroom Afrika.